Cool. Cool.
I saw Trey had his legs crossed.
Hi everybody, settle in. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes. Facebook friends on Facebook Live, give us about 2 minutes. We're going to get started. Grab your drinks, grab your last, put your last orders in. We'll get started here in about 2 minutes, so hang tight. Thank you.
I just want to
I'm not sending that back into there actually, because you like that? I'm actually surprised laptops don't have like rounders. Like, you know what I mean? You know, laptop doesn't have rounds on the wrong, so it's interesting. Yeah, I'm surprised there's no.
Everybody, welcome everybody. Before we get started, before I dive into the official intro, I'm going to play a quick little video here that gives us a little bit of an introduction to our guest, and we'll give you a little taste of what this gentleman is all about. So eyes to the stage here as we deal with technical difficulties. Hang tight.
What's up, everybody? Chris Cote here to give you everything you ever wanted to see, know, smell about this weird city and this wonderful thing we call South by Southwest. We did get a solid couple of hours of some of the most amazing, just like you said, baffling surfing. Chris Cote here in Gaston, Puerto San Diego, California for Comic-Con 2015. Gigantic win. Hold your breath, people. That was a horrific wipeout of Hawaiian Water Patrol. You got to keep your eyes closed on Mason Mode. You got probably the best view you could ever ask for of the world famous Cabo Arch Sunken Lobby Bar. Rooftop bar! Well, somehow I've made my way to the back lounge of the bus of the one and only BB Rexa. So this is what you'd call LARPing, right? LARPing? LARPage? No, no. Well, sure, you can run.
Hamsters. I love hamsters.
This her here is very not like this her on stage. She goes wild, right? Oh, yeah. I don't even know where to begin. Two of my favorite surfers are coming up to the stage, and this is going to be awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathan Fletcher, Dave Reynolds.
I have the pleasure of being joined by two legends in Chris Patches and Cote.
This is a course that is truly going to test the alternate capabilities of each and every skater. Just when you thought it was safe to have a relaxing afternoon watching the early pro, think again. Heavy drama, world title implications on the line in the water right now with Felipe Toledo, current world number 3, starting off this semifinal matchup. I know you're excited. You've been watching these guys rip this bowl. This is going to be an amazing one. Don't skate before the show. If not, you could have an issue.
Does not skate? Yeah.
Not to skate. You might be skating here from his house. He's from this area as well. You guys could be neighbors.
He's from Queens, right? So you just, I think you just took Franklin all the way. You kind of go out, and then you go over the bridge.
But don't give us directions to not skate.
I don't know now.
Yeah.
Does my voice really sound like that?
That's enhanced audio, you don't have to worry.
Turn the bass up.
A quick good evening, everybody, though, and welcome, friends, new and old. So for welcome to the 6th edition of the Volcom Talk Show. This is a monthly exploration of the diverse and creative entrepreneurial stories and talent that reside right here in our backyard, and in this case, our extended backyard. We welcome you. This is a show where I aim to tell the stories behind the stories and get to the heart of the personal experiences behind the brands, the movements, and the personalities that really make up all the stories that we read about and that we hear about in our local industry. The show's goal is to contribute to a better world, starting with our own community, by inspiring future leaders, innovators, and influencers with stories of positivity, perseverance, hard work, and then we hope that everybody leaves with some real life lessons that they can take from some of our esteemed guests here. So I'm Derek Sabori, I'm the host of the show, and we are here again at the amazing dining and cocktail experience that is the Boathouse Collective. A lot of you are familiar faces here, so we're glad that you're loyals. We have some returning esteemed guests, thank you, and we also have some newcomers. So if you haven't been here before, enjoy some of the amazing food, the culinary arts that we have back here from Chef Mathieu, and some of the craft cocktails back here from our amazing bar staff. Thank you to Clay Peterson and the entire Boathouse staff for making this show possible. It's been an honor to be the host of this great show, the 6th show, so keep coming back. Tell your friends about it. It's a great thing, and we really enjoy doing it. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Our guest tonight is truly the one-of-a-kind, and frankly, I'm already a bit nervous because I've been awarded as somebody who has the gift of gab, but this man surely has me beat by miles. He's the real deal. He's carved out a successful and astonishingly niche role. I'm going to say that again. Astonishingly niche role in the action sports industry. He's a multimedia action sports personality. He's been instrumental in the start of the progressive TransWorld SURF Magazine, and eventually became editor-in-chief. He co-founded a band that has been described as alternative experimental death metal. He's worked as a television host, a communicator, a DJ, a roadie. He's now producing, writing, and consulting for various and some of the biggest media entities and brands. He has his own podcast show. He's a wealth of knowledge and always a breath of fresh air. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Chris Cote. How was that, Chris?
I'm going to show my mom that. She's going to be very proud. She knew about half of that stuff.
Well, our job here is to highlight the amazing things that people like yourself do.
So nice. I feel confident already.
Yeah. The great thing is you've got so much going on. So even diving into this, I was like, where the heck do I even start? So did I do a decent job explaining the realm of what makes Chris Cote the personality?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing is I feel, I was just having this conversation the other day about I was proud of myself for staying relevant for all this time. Somebody had asked me, what are you most proud of within the realm of what you do? And I kind of, that answer popped into my head was staying relevant from the late 90s to today, which, I think that's a challenge for sure, as we know, whether it's brands or, events or people themselves. Just staying relevant for that long, I feel like is probably my greatest accomplishment.
Would you say you're at the top of your game right now?
I'm at the top of my game right now.
Okay, I wanted to plug
I was today, yesterday, tomorrow it's going to be even better.
But the Volcom Talk Show is at the pinnacle.
You're getting my best.
I'm experiencing
people here. So if it's not that good, it was my best.
So first, then I want to do what I want to do is since let's come down from the peak a little bit. I want to go back and acknowledge that we're going a little beyond our borders because we do try to keep this as a local show. We made an exception for you, though.
Thank you.
Because you have been instrumental, obviously, in the action sports industry, but you grew up in South County, right?
Yeah, Encinitas, California.
Okay, do we call that South County?
It's that way.
Yeah.
It's past Lowers, and I don't know if anybody in here gets that far. It's even past Pana, which is crazy. It's way down there.
So what were the early days for you like? What was it like growing up in the Cote family?
Growing up in the Cote family we lived close to the beach. We actually grew up on the same street. We all live on now. My mom, my brother, my sister. Everybody lives in the same zone. So yeah, we grew up and we basically, I think we saw the top of the mountain living in Leucadia. So we all stayed there. But yeah, I mean, early days was, I think, similar to a lot of kids. You know, I grew up skating up and down the street, and I eventually graduated to skating the Del Mar Skate Ranch, which at the time I was just a kid getting dropped off at the skate park. But now, in looking back, I'm going, wow, what an incredible time to be alive in skateboarding, to be able to barely hold on to the memories from the Del Mar Skate Ranch, and then, you know, it was boogie boarding into surfing, and having an older brother that was a really good surfer. So he started getting sponsored, giving me crap for, you know, not trying hard enough or not, you know, not surfing enough. So eventually fell in love with surfing. But, you know, family life, there was, of course, ups and downs. Like, you know, we had divorces, lots of partying in the house. We were never, there was never a lack of love in the house from the parents, of course. We were cared for, fed. Definitely didn't grow up well off or anything like that. We did receive government cheese, which it was good cheese, cheddar,
I would hope so.
like a log, and you know we'd slice that off of that. But you know, I guess it was a quaint upbringing.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah, I mean, I would dare say that I was, you know, we were not poor by any stretch of the imagination, because, you know, we lived on the Indian reservation in Navajo, Arizona for about a year, and we saw real poverty.
Really?
Yeah, we were exposed to a lot of, I guess, you know, late 70s, early 80s, just blue collar style, you know, low income family, but on the beach.
Yeah.
You know, I know that's kind of probably a similar tone to Newport or Costa Mesa. You know, you don't have a lot of money, but you live on the beach, so it's not a big deal. You just,
It's not so bad.
Exactly. The beach is free, so that was our kind of outlet.
So what were you like then? So, I mean, you told us you were skating, you were surfing, but kind of your personality, though, what were you like, let's say, in high school as you started to mature? Who were you hanging out with? Were you hanging out with the rockers, the surfers, the bunkers? What was your vibe?
You know, I think interestingly enough, growing up, in my household, I was the one that brought the positivity, that made the jokes, that kept the house light. You know,
So you were always the personality.
yeah, I kept spirits up in the house. And then going into junior high and high school, you know, my brother had kind of cleared a path, so he was gonna, you know, vouched for me, I guess. So
How much older is he?
3 years older.
3 years older.
Yeah, so he had kind of cleared the path, and so I had to in there. But again, high school, you know, just super white hair, freckles, loud, obnoxious. Just growing up, just the hell rat. Ran with, I think, something that served me really well, and this is what I try to tell my kids is, you know, I was not super cliquey, you know, hung out with the Vatos, the skaters, the Hessians, surfers, you know, whoever, just kind of had a broad range of friends, and didn't have enemies at school, was never too cool to talk to anybody, just kind of tried to be friends with everybody.
Which has served you well
It
now.
has, yeah, and that's kind of what I feel like has, you know, and you're actually making me think about all this stuff in a different way, so thank you. But it's kind of that openness to people, and that was something my parents taught me, because they had a wide array of friends, you know, all ethnicities, gay, straight, whatever, like that's what the house was filled with at all times. So I feel like that was a huge lesson that they taught me without even trying to teach me, was, you know, acceptance. And, you know, I think that served me well coming up through high school, because, you know, if somebody did come at me weird, you know, I had like my Vato friends over here looking out for me, my older brother friends and all that stuff. So there was never strife or anything like that in high school. I did have problem getting girls because I was like really little, late bloomer. I mean, obviously it turned into like this incredible man, but this wasn't until, you know, a while. But yeah, you know, straight edge all through high school as well. So
Were you
that's
really?
different, I think.
Like legitimate straight edge?
I was straight edge, you know, X's on my hands at school, and it was, in a way, it was because I was scared to start drinking and stuff, because everyone around me was super into it. And so I thought, well, I'm going to really like this when I do this, so I'm going to chill. And so I never had a sip of alcohol until I was 21, on my 21st birthday. I went out.
I'm gonna stop right here and see if my wife is listening because we have a lot of similarities
Yeah.
in how I approach life too. But that's a different story. But it's funny. I'm almost like staring at you like, really? This is my story. This is great. So how about after graduation then? So you kind of stayed straight through school. You're good. After graduation, was there college? You know, did you do college?
A little bit. So I was surfing and stuff through high school, but I was just okay. You know,
Yeah.
pretty good. I could do chop hops and stuff, which
Were you
at the
competing
time
in high school at the high school level?
I was competing. You know, NSSA's high school contests, and then eventually started doing some. I guess I don't think it was called QS at the time. It was like ASP underling events,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
And after I got out of high school, I kind of, again, late bloomer, started to get better and better. Eventually, I started to get some sponsors here and there. I did this random contest in Carlsbad, and a guy named Jeff Moore came up and he's like, I want you to ride for Ezekiel. And I'm like,
Why not?
yes,
Well,
you
yeah, of
know?
course.
Yeah, and before this, I had ridden for anyone that would want to sponsor me. I was just so hyped to put a sticker on my board.
Yeah.
My neighbor gave me pirate surf stickers and then his old clothes, and so I said I was sponsored.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, so that was my,
Fake
yeah.
it till you make it, right?
Yeah, I mean, obnoxious youth. I got seconds shirts, you know, misprints and
Yeah.
stuff, so I was absolutely sponsored.
Yeah.
So a string of sponsors like that, and then my friends and I starting our own companies, and we're on the team. We made the shirt, so we're on the team.
So you're pro.
Yeah, and then I kind of got a legitimate sponsor in Ezekiel, and through that, doing contests, you know, I competed in Japan. Big in Japan thing happened. I got money, and I came home, and I was like, I'm pro. I'm a pro surfer.
It's on.
That's why I said I was a C-level pro surfer, because technically I was pro. But then I remember I got sent to the North Shore, and it had my new boards, stickers, and you know, I think at the time I had like a 5.3 and a 5.6 was my quiver for the North Shore.
Oh boy.
And yeah, I slept on a floor at this in the Mormon dorm. This friend of a friend. And I hitchhiked from all the way over past Laie to Rocky Point. And the first session I had as a pro surfer on the North Shore, I got kicked out of the water, and then a guy paddling out wouldn't let me go in. So I got stuck in the middle of two large men. And one of them was telling, so basically the guy got barreled, and he's probably not watching. It's
He might be, but
Roadblock
we're
watches.
Facebooking live.
Roadblock, oh man, you're awesome. And I was a child. So he got barreled. I hooted for the barrel. He said I distracted him, and he says he's gonna punch my fins out unless I went in. I started paddling, and somebody was paddling back out saying, if you paddle in, you're never allowed to come back out here. And so I was just sitting there as these two guys are yelling at me, and then they start yelling at each other. And thankfully a wave came in and like pounded me and took us all to the beach.
So was this the end of your pro career?
That was pretty much right there. I don't know if I'm cut out
You
for
said,
this.
this isn't for me.
I tried to surf pipeline when it was 2 foot, and yeah, I better get a job. So that's really where I started parlaying my personality and likability into working in surf companies.
But you went though, so you did you, if I did my research right, you did a typical kind of warehouse to marketing to team management kind of thing. Is that
Yeah,
right? Not
yeah.
typical, but I mean, that was a story back then. That was something that could happen.
Yeah, pretty
Right?
much. I mean, went in, started to, I would set up the tents down at the beach
Yeah.
for the amateur events. Did that for Arnett, Reef, Hurley, Billabong, Spy, kind of all these different companies. And it was, it was a great learning experience because, I had mentors kind of coming up, giving me these jobs.
Yeah.
And I would walk in, and a lot of, the older people at these shows were like, what is this kid doing in here? And it was funny because I would slide under the radar. I mean, I remember being at Arnett at their peak, and there was 10 people in the marketing department. We had 2 guys that surfed, and then I was under them. A moto guy, skier guy, freaking frisbee dude, whoever. Like, everything they sponsored, there was people in charge. And then as it started kind of sliding, I would come into work and I would notice so-and-so wouldn't be at his desk. And I'd be like, oh, that's weird. And by the end of it, I was the only person in the whole marketing department, basically.
How'd you
sitting
find it?
alone in the office, and people were calling, like, can we get glasses? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Why you? How'd you slide in
I was-
there? You were that good?
I was probably getting paid like $400 a month.
That might have been it.
And so I don't even know if they knew I worked there.
So, so how did you? So this is amazing though. So you're doing that, and when did you start maybe writing though? So how did you write? So I mean, when does the transition to TransWorld SURF happen, and how does that? How do you even get involved there? How do you make that leap?
That came from, again, being a pro surfer, but not being the best pro surfer. So I would volunteer to go on trips. I go, I'll go on the trip. I'll write the story. And really it was Wave Action magazine at the very beginning. I would write video reviews, everything volunteer based.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'd write all the video reviews, go to events, do interviews and stuff. And then when I got sponsored and eventually invited on a trip to Japan with Breaker Out and Ezekiel, I kind of pitched it to Surfer Magazine. And the only thing I had in print at Surfer Magazine was a letter I wrote to Sam Hawk calling him an a-hole. It was really...
How'd that go?
he didn't realize it was me, I guess, but... Yeah, so I got this writing assignment for this Japan trip, and I didn't know, but it ended up in the big issue. And that's what a lot of people's kind of first memory of me was, this trip where, I'm posing with these Japanese swimsuit models, and Donovan Frankenreiter and Vinny De La Pena were all there. I got a shot doing like air, and I had left a note from my mom that said, I'm in Japan, see you in 5 days.
Yeah.
And so that was all on the article, and that kind of got my name out there as a writer, I guess.
Okay.
And so from there, it just kind of steamrolled into, I'll do it kind of situation.
Would you call that was it a lucky break, or had you kind of built up to that though, and you feel like...
I kind of built up to even get the acknowledgement of the people at
opportunity.
Surfer Magazine, because I was with all the brands and they just kind of seen me around.
Yeah.
So it was just that raising the hand, going, I'm down for whatever, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so, after that, then it kind of started going a little bit, writing and doing more, and that I was kind of veering more into the marketing side of things, working at the companies, kind of the business stuff. And then in 1999, we got the call, myself and Blair Marlin from Steve Zeldin and the crew that started TransWorld SURF.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much...
So you're there from the
I
beginning.
retired from pro surfing right there in 1999.
You got corporate. You went into corporate life. So you're there, 14, 15 years there. What were your biggest takeaways from there? What were some of the highlights of that portion of your career?
Oh man, I mean,
there's probably a lot in there.
it was, so I had already started partying at the time. And so basically I was on the path to full burnout mode, and then it kind of got plucked out. I worked at Hanson Surf Shop, and I would get like as high as you could possibly get. I don't think you could get any more stoned than this, and then go to work. And I would just sit behind the counter, the worst surf shop employee in the history of surf shop employees.
How long did you work there?
3 months. I mean, it did not last because I never folded a shirt. I was just, like a cocky stoner kid working at the surf shop.
Yeah.
He would come in and be like, I want to buy a snowboard for my son. I'm like, I don't snowboard, man. Sorry. And again, people would complain. And so yeah, I kind of got like just taken off that path. Went to the office at TransWorld where we were basically writers, and literally they said we can do anything we want. The crew there was at the time they literally, Zelda was the boss, and Zelda was amazing, and he would come into work at like 4 PM. Like, what have you guys been doing all day? We're like, oh man, and then we'd stay there and work till 8, and it was, we didn't have any responsibilities, we didn't have wives, kids, or any of that stuff, so that was our clubhouse. TransWorld SURF was, the other magazines there would trip out. What are these guys doing?
Yeah, but you were making a name for yourself, though. I mean, it became something.
Yeah, I owe basically everything that I achieved after that to TransWorld.
Yeah.
Because they basically gave me every opportunity to do the commentating, to become the editor-in-chief of the magazine.
Which, how long before you get kind of handed that torch and you get that call? And what was that like? I mean, what's going through your head when it's like, hey, we want to nominate you?
Well, it's actually kind of traumatic because, so I was the editor, Joel Patterson was editor-in-chief, and we had worked together for so long, we became really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they had decided to make a change, you know, the boss came to me, he's like, are you ready to be editor-in-chief? And I just started shaking, going, you know, I didn't want to say no, obviously, but I knew that in saying that, I knew this change was going to happen anyway, but I didn't want it to be me to be the cause of it. So it was,
Because of your friend.
yeah. And so I kind of realized it was happening regardless. And so I accepted it. And it was just one of those awful situations of, you know, the staff is all in one room, and then, you know, one guy gets taken into the other room, and we all know, everybody knows what's going on. It just was horrible. Yeah, it was the worst. But from that, you know, I probably wasn't ready to do that job, but I just kind of moved my stuff into the office and, you know, and from there things got super wild. I got a corporate card, which was awesome.
And then it was on.
Yeah, and then it was on. Yeah,
and and how long that ran for? How long were you there doing that?
I want to say I was editor-in-chief for probably about 5 years.
Okay.
You know, and in those 5 years, we definitely got wild, but we also got, I would say, more focused into what we wanted to do. You know, we had started that magazine really as a antithesis to Surfer and Surfing Magazine. We wanted to be kind of the big brother of surfing.
Yeah.
You know, and we dressed dogs up in trunks, and we lit our surfboards on fire and did all this stuff that, you know, a lot of people disagreed with, but at the same time, a lot of young people identified with.
Yeah.
And I still, to this day, every day out, you know, somebody would go, oh man, TransWorld Surf, you know, from kids to dads, like, they really identified with that magazine because at that time, you know, there wasn't a lot of sequences in magazines. There wasn't a lot of, I guess, technical aerial surfing. And the people we covered were vastly different than you would see in Surfer or Surfing Magazine. You know,
some of the underground surfers are off the charts.
Exactly. You know, we were Troy Eckert's right there. Troy Eckert, this generation.
Yeah.
You know, early times at Volcom, that we're going, we're with you guys. You know, we really staked our flag. Like, we are with you guys. You know, we'll skate to the beach. We'll surf, and we'll go skate the mini ramp afterwards. We'll go to the party. We'll be the last guys there. We'll be the first ones up. You know, and it was kind of that ethos that, you know, we took chances on young people. Like Tom Carey worked for us very early. You know, we showcased people. We had our checkouts. We really worked hard on finding this up and coming talent that wasn't just good surfers, but also had cool personalities.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we tried really hard to take people out of their comfort zone, dressing Taj Burrow up like Road Warrior. You know, I think really just the collective brains behind the operation, you know, whether it was Steve Sherman, Aaron Checkwood, I mean, all the way back, Mark Hostetter, people from the very beginning to the end where, you know, Sam Allen, Casey Cote, these were all people that it wasn't like a dictatorship. It was really sit down and go, okay, what does everybody want to do? You know?
Crowdsourcing.
Exactly. Yeah,
okay.
You're right.
So what was what year was sort of the peak, would you say, of TransWorld Surf?
I would say probably early 2000s. So early 2000s that's when we had 6-page audio ads, you know, skate ads in the Surf Magazine. We had, you know, Billabong would buy like 8 spreads, and the thing was 350 pages.
And can you give us an idea of how big? I mean, how big was TransWorld Surf? Or maybe somebody that doesn't know, or somebody who's watching. I mean, how important was that publication in the industry, would you say?
I would say it was, I mean, just judging by the advertisers we got, the reach of the magazine, you know, the events that we started to be able to sponsor, it was right there with all three.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think they obviously knew that because in the end, they were who bought us. And it was kind of like, I say it's like if you can't beat them, buy them, but I think it was a little different than that.
So let's jump ahead to that. So things are going great. You're editor-in-chief. The career is good. You're having a great time. You're at the top of your game back then, right? And then something happens then. There's new ownership. They closed up shop.
Yeah, for me, it was about a year before we had been sold. We had been bought and sold a bunch of times before.
Okay.
You know, New York companies, AOL, Time Warner, all this stuff, and not a lot really changed. But then I was starting to do more Fuel TV commentary stuff, filming a lot of my own, you know, Cote's Cube interviews and stuff like that. And so I felt like I was getting a little bit stagnant as just editor-in-chief of the magazine. I wasn't coming in as often, and I could tell people around me were getting kind of bummed. So, like a lot of magazine editors before me, I just presented the idea of, I'll be editor-at-large, I'll cut my salary in half, spread it out to you guys, kind of brought them up on the masthead, and started going to the office about 1 day a week, 2 days a week.
Okay. Did you get a sense that maybe something was going on at the magazine, or was this really sort of a personal endeavor that you really, for you, wanted to go fulfill something else?
I think it was more for me because, you know, I really saw my path going more towards that broadcasting, TV work,
Okay.
you know, and I guess breaking out of just surf.
Yeah.
And it just became a little bit of a grind where, I mean, I equated it to every day when I would take the same road, I would turn right and go down that same road to this amazing job, best job ever, but I would get that feeling of, I wouldn't say dread, but just,
There's got to be something else.
yeah, make that turn, and you having the drive, you're jamming down the highway, you make the turn, it's like,
So,
there we go.
was there a bit of relief maybe when the magazine gets closed down?
Yes.
Right? And I say
Yeah.
that because, I mean, you can go, there's a lot of great stories and interviews of what happened and what that was like. So maybe jump forward to when you get that news. What is it like for you? What's going through your head? Are you relieved or are you sad? What are the emotions that you go through?
There was sadness because, you know, it was my baby.
Mm-hmm.
There was anger because, you know, you have 6 other people that are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of like, you didn't really give us a chance to plead our case, to maybe do something else.
Because was it a short window?
It was a pretty short window. But on the other side of that, you know, you had the Band-Aid pull reaction.
Yeah.
You know? And then the way that personally that I was treated, and then I felt like the rest of the employees were treated. I was treated so well by the incoming management team. They went above and beyond what anybody should have done as far as giving me a place in the company, really kind of wearing kids' gloves, going like, "Are you okay? What can we do?"
Yeah.
And you know, that made me feel good because it made me feel like I had something to bridge myself between, you know, that when you have that little nut that's coming in every month, you know, this is what covers the rent and car payment and all that.
Yeah.
So all the rest of the stuff, all the side hustles become, you know, stuff that you put on top of that. You're good here, but when that monthly chunk ends, which they had extended mine for, you know, basically like a year,
Yeah.
paying me to do not much. Basically paid me to not talk a bunch of crap on the incoming management team, which I wasn't going to do anyway because I try not to do that.
Well, it seemed like you spoke highly of the whole process, kind of everything you
Spoke very highly of all those young men.
Very highly. Very highly. Even the research I did.
And so, at the very end of it, when it was finally like, "Yo, are you going to work for us or not?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "No."
I'm out.
Yeah, and so that's when I started Cote Media Group.
And so did you have sort of a master plan going into that Cote Media Group? And maybe what was the switch to when you decided that you were going to be a personality, if you will? Because I know that's an interesting
That's a weird thing to
right?
call yourself.
Yeah,
like, an
exactly.
action sports personality.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
What was it? Was there one thing that you remember? It's like, you know what? This is what I want to do.
I feel like just getting better and better at commentary, you know, at hosting, emceeing events. I would beat myself up a lot at the very beginning, you know, not only because I didn't think I was good enough, but also because I was always hungover when I was doing it. I was, you know, I was putting that added challenge on myself.
Yeah.
Because obviously doing anything when you're still in party mode is pretty tough. And so I felt like I was pulling it, and then it just became a thing where I knew that, okay, let's say it's $4,000 or whatever. I need to make that every month to cover everything.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was the hustle. Fill in the blanks, fill in these boxes of things that I needed to do to get that monthly nut to cover everything there. And then above and beyond is what I could do to kind of build upon that.
Yeah.
And so I think it was opportunities that I just needed to realize that I was good enough to do, and I needed to learn how to fight to do them, because I spent a lot of time just kind of sitting and waiting for people to offer things to me.
Yeah.
And in starting my own business and starting my own kind of, not only, I guess, focusing more on the hosting side of things, but also putting stuff that I'd learned in marketing in the business side of TransWorld SURF, putting that in motion and offering those services to people. Kind of that whole scope of what I knew how to do started to become more clear.
Okay.
And, you know, I always had a hard time giving myself credit for things that I was really good at.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I kind of could admit, oh, I can do this, I'm really good at this, that, you know, I had opened myself up to allow, you know, I guess to allow success to come to me.
Yeah.
And then fight to get it as well.
Well, and you've taken that acknowledgement, I guess, though, and you've done a lot of things with it, right? Doing Cote's Cube, doing the Chris Cote Show, working with the Do Tour, editing Encinitas Mag, partnering in Yew online. How do you say that, actually?
You.
Online. Okay, you can't just say
You
online.
cannot say you online. Yeah.
Apologies.
Yeah.
Strike that from the record. Monday Mass podcast, doing the Vans Park series, kind of the list goes on, working with Red Bull events, Grind TV Live, you're doing some work with Gnarlywood. How do these all tie together, and how do you decide which one to really focus after and drive home, or are they all important?
I mean, I feel like they're all important because they all, you know, accent each other.
Mm-hmm.
They all have to do with what they're all about, right? It's all about selling this lifestyle. It's all about, you know, portraying action sports as fun. It's all inclusive. Anyone should be able to do this. You know, for example, it's about facing challenges. You know, I was super comfortable doing any surf event anywhere in the world, big waves, small waves, all day long. I do that in my sleep. You know, I'm good at it. I got approached by, actually Kelly from Vans is here. Kelly and Matt from Vans approached me to do the Vans Park series. And like I said, I've been skating since before I was surfing, but it was out of my comfort zone. So it was kind of I wouldn't say fake it till you make it thing, because I knew it was in the same realm of my expertise, but
It's a different world.
it's a different world,
Yeah.
you know? And so that was probably a recent challenge that I saw. I'm like, okay, I can nail this,
Yeah.
you know? And I nailed it, right? I'm still doing it. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one thing I'm so impressed with, though. You know, you go through, and I've watched you for so many years, and the more that I dove in, and you almost take it for granted. It's like, oh yeah, Chris is there. But you know, the more you go and study and look like at your scope of work, hanging with the skaters, hanging with the surfers, hanging with whoever, and being able to kind of be there and speak the language and know. I mean, that's something really, you know, to be acknowledged. You know, I think to be able to slide right in and be able to hang with the crew and be invited back.
That's
you know,
from
a big deal.
hanging with the Vatos and the
That's
Hessians.
right.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite project, would you say, at the moment? Do you have one?
I mean, I feel like on a day-to-day basis, that's part of the challenge of doing all these things, having your hands in so many, you know, different piles, I guess. And I think everybody in this room, I mean, everybody that I can see is basically doing the same thing, 9 jobs.
Yeah.
And, you know, you kind of just wake up and you go, okay, well, this is the job that I have to do today, or have to address this problem at this business. They're all rewarding and they're all fun. You know, I don't do jobs that aren't fun to me, which I have the luxury to do that.
Yeah, but the Vans Park series is for sure your favorite.
Yeah, Kelly's right there.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. No, I mean, and again, to me, it's something like that is exciting because it's fresh. It's similar, but it's totally different than surf events. And it's new places, it's new people. The crew we're with is amazing, and the product that comes out after it is something that I'm super proud of every single time. And yet, I'm still kind of at the beginning of it, so I feel like I can do better and better and better. And it's helped me do better for surf commentary. You know, it's helped me do better in random MC jobs or auctioneering, things like that, where it's just quick thinking. And it's helped in my consulting portion of my business as well, because, you know, if you're just fully locked into the surf world or, you know, the snow world, which they're all very similar but all vastly different. It's like I'm now being able to see behind the curtain of all three of these worlds, whether it's Dew Tour Snow, you know, Vans Park Series, Dew Tour events, the commentating the Eddy, you know, all these different kind of worlds that I'm really getting to see the ins and outs of. That's allowed me to come and say, you know, I can speak upon youth culture, to what's happening right now in surfing, skating, snowboarding. You know, through the podcast has really, I guess it's really awakened me to the fact that I also have a skill that allows me to talk about all three of these sports in a way that I can link them all and I can make them all approachable to somebody that maybe doesn't necessarily care about skating, but they like to surf. You know, it's that all-inclusive approach to talking about these sports without being a total kook, but also without being an elitist and talking down to the audience.
Yeah.
Which the Monday Mass has allowed me to really showcase that. And it's a weird kind of intangible of being able to kind of manage all the piles of these three sports and talk about all of them with knowledge about the ins and outs of every sport without going over the heads of the people that don't know much about the other sports.
Yeah, that was one of my questions too. Even when you're doing a broadcast, let's say, there's a balance that you have to keep between engaging the core audience who really knows it and is right at that level with you, and engaging somebody that's a newcomer who's like, you know what, I'm going to tune in for the first time. Right? I mean, there's a definite art there that I think you've nailed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Just wanted to acknowledge that.
You're nailing this.
Thank you. So some people might say though that like you're having too much fun at your job, or this isn't work. You know, it's like how are you call this a career? Like, when are you going to really work? Prove them wrong. Like, what is the day in the life like for you?
We were just talking about this. So I work for the Los Cabos Open of Surf for the company Boardwalk Productions that puts that event on with the Cabo Tourism Board. And so I work for that entity for about 5 months out of the year. And in the time leading up, you know, we film these videos. I do them every year. And basically I go to Cabo with like really hot chicks and we go surfing and we have fun and we frolic in the water a lot. I mean, it's weird, like a 4-year-old man frolicking in the water with a swimsuit model.
Yeah.
It's kind of like creepy uncle is what I've become on these trips.
But your wife supports this.
Absolutely, because I come home with paycheck. And her friends are going, oh, like, don't you worry that he's going on these trips? He's swimsuit models, and she's like, nah, I'm not worried at all. But, you know, the last one I did was with Alana Blanchard, Camille Brady, and Layla Hurst. And they're super amazing to work with. I didn't know at the time Alana Blanchard was pregnant when we were there. That just came out today. Shock and awe.
You heard it first on the Volcom Talk Show.
But it was so, you know, we're trying to do, you know, pack in as much activities as possible. And I'm doing a post and it's me and there's like 3 hot girls behind me. They're in their bathing suits and stuff. And I post that, and that's like what the outward image is
Sure.
just me on the beach in Cabo. But they don't see me pacing around the lobby calling, what do you do? You gotta get down here. And they're not answering the phone, and then I go on Instagram and they're in their robes, live on Instagram, doing a dance. And they're supposed to be in the lobby. You know, and then this is what we were just talking about a minute ago, was I posted a photo of myself in an elevator with the Coffee Sisters. And they were dressed super
I saw that one.
crazy.
Yeah.
And I was dressed pretty good too. It was midnight, and I basically had been like chauffeuring them around. So that was, a day where I'd been up at 6, got to the event, worked from at the surf event as communications director and commentator till 6 at night. Went home for an hour, changed, went and DJ'd a party from 7 to 10. From 10 to 12, I had been taking these girls to one of the sponsors' restaurants to just kind of wine and dine and have fun with the sponsors. So it was basically I'm not good at math, but it was like a 15-hour day or something.
Long day.
Yeah, I was super blown by the time I was in the elevator with these girls getting home.
But that photo says
this guy's living the life right here.
Exactly.
They didn't see.
What does this guy even
Yeah, they
do?
didn't see like the sunburn and just the ragged. Then you sleep for 4 hours and you do it again.
Yeah.
So they're long, super grindy days, and I really revel in when people who know come up and say, "Wow, dude, you are grinding. Like, you are working so hard." Oh, thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy to just, you sound like a whiner. Of course, if you say that.
Yeah.
I'm getting coffee in the morning, and this has happened to me multiple times, where I'm sitting there talking to somebody that works in the surf industry or something, going, "Yeah, dude, I was just like stuck in Hawaii for 3 weeks working this event, and the guy behind me's got his like tool belt on, his hammer. He's like, he wants to hit me with the hammer because he's going to Chula Vista to work, and I'm going, no, I mean, it's all, I sound like a dick because I'm like, I just got stuck in Hawaii for 3 weeks. I had to just sit there on the beach.
Worst thing ever.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like I've worked.
I was only in Turtle Bay for 3 of those nights.
I know, I eat at Lele's every single night, prime rib every night. And it's funny because I've worked super hard to get there, and while I'm on a job nowadays, I'm 100% there. So if I'm away working somewhere, I'm focused on that job then. So then all my stuff at home is kind of taking the back seat.
Yeah.
So it's it's just that constant hustle, and I would never complain about going around the world and doing these amazing events, but they are long days, and when anybody ever gives me, I'll accept constructive criticism all day long, but if someone's just like talking crap on my commentary or whatever, I'm like, here you go, you try it.
And it's tough.
And it works every time.
Yeah. I've sat in the booth a couple times with you, and I remember the first time I did it, it's like, whoa, this is so
people talking in your ear,
stressful, hard, and you've got somebody next to you that you're starstruck by them, and you're trying to hear what they say, and there's surfing going on in the water.
Yeah.
So I have big respect for you guys. So maybe speak to me about life balance, though, right? You're traveling a lot. You've got 2 young kids at home. You do a great job, I think, of infusing your personal life into your social media and telling the story of dad life,
using my kids for likes.
Well, we have to, right?
Yeah.
But it's that's called leveraging our assets.
Right? They don't do yard work yet, so get me some likes.
Absolutely. But talk to us about that. Is there stress that comes along with that? Is everybody supportive? It's do you ever take the family with you on some of these trips, or how are you balancing it all?
I feel like and everybody's different. When I have a hard time taking my family with me on trips because I like to focus fully on the job at hand.
Focus on the party.
And a lot of times, if my wife and kids are at an event, then I'm sitting there trying to work, and I'm going, oh, are they having fun?
Yeah.
And other people are super good at doing it. I'm not that good at it. I worry too much about everybody.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a theme in my life, is I worry about everybody around me. Like, is everybody having fun? Are you having fun? So I took my wife one time because she's been with me. We've been married 14 years. We were together forever before that. So she's been involved with the ground floor of all, I traveled a lot with TransWorld. So I've always been traveling for work. And then just, her friends were getting in her ear going, "You never take us anywhere." Da, da. I go, "Okay, I'm taking you to Hawaii." I took her to the Volcom Pipe Pro. And half of the reason I took her was to show her, like, it's not a vacation. Because we set up in the house. I'm like, okay, here's the house. The alarm goes off at 6 a.m. I'm out.
Right.
And then I'm working the event. I'm back at 6 p.m. I'm totally blown. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how was your day?
And then we're going to a group dinner.
Yeah.
So
So she knew that she knows how hard I work, and she's the most supportive of anybody in the world when it comes to allowing me to work and chill. And she takes care of the kids when I'm gone, and she always tells me how thankful she is that she doesn't have to work. She just told it to me yesterday because I felt bad that I was coming up here because she was complaining about bedtime the other night because bedtime is a pain in the ass. And she was saying, oh, well, I guess I gotta do bedtime again alone or something. And I'm like, oh, dude, if you pull that, like, I work and you don't card, you're done.
Yeah, you
like,
can't do that.
Yeah, and I've done that once, and it doesn't, yeah, that was not cool. And then, she kind of pulled it on herself. I'm not pulling that card ever again.
So it's a team effort, though.
Team effort, for sure.
Is she watching on the live feed?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, she's seen enough of me. she gets this talk show all day, every day.
So let's change the channel a little bit here and go to talk about the Volcom Pipe Pro. And you've done so many great events, and you've done some of the most premier events that have taken place. Right, the Pipe Pro 2012. I'm sorry, the Fiji Pro 2012.
Yeah, Fiji Pro. I think 4 times.
Okay, but that was the
Volcom.
The Volcom
Fiji Pro.
That was the one I was referring to. You've done the Eddie. Just recently, you did the Eddie.
Yeah, the Eddie.
You've done Cape Fear. So what were some of your highlights? What are your favorite moments? That you've witnessed and had to talk through that you can share with us.
I mean,
the clip from your reel with Mason Ho, I remember watching that too, just going, whoa, that was amazing.
Yeah, I think, for me, getting the call to do the Eddie was huge just because I got called to do it, and then something happened where I couldn't go, and I was just shattered.
That's a big honor.
It was huge, and it was like kind of the stupid reason why I couldn't go, and I just felt like an idiot. So it got called on, and then it immediately got called off. And so I was going, okay, there's maybe a chance here. And so I had kind of established myself as an authoritative speaker on big wave surfing, which is super weird because I've never been on a wave over like 4 feet.
See, we do have a lot of things in common.
Broadcast. I'm a broadcaster, right? We have pro servers to talk about doing the stuff. So then I got the call. Eddie's back on, and I was like, I'm doing it. I'm in. You fly to Hawaii, and you're sitting there knowing that it's gonna be huge. All the surfers are around, and you can literally feel the buzz off people.
Yeah.
And then you go down to Waimea, and it's like a raging party. It's like Burning Man on the beach. There's trucks and everything parked on the bluff. People are partying, getting their spots. The beach is shaking. You cannot see any waves. This is 4 a.m. when you kind of arrive. You get your little shirt on, and you're sitting there, and you're ready, and everyone on the beach is the same thing. It's shaking. You know it's huge, but you don't know how big it is yet. And everyone's kind of gun shy because the week before it had been called off. And so you just wait, and then you just wait. The sun starts coming up, and everyone around's going, oh, it's too big or it's too small. And then the light comes over, and the first big set comes, and it's just go time, right?
Yeah.
And so again, I'm nervous because this is the Eddie. This is the biggest event ever, pretty much, in surfing.
Yeah. But
then you just kind of go into shark mode. Your eyes roll back in your head, and you just start talking. I feel like we're concentrating very hard on what we're saying at those types of events, because it's not like a lowers or, even like the Volcom Pipe Pro or the Volcom Fiji Pro. There's crazy wipeouts, there's scary situations, but on a contest like the Eddie or Cape Fear, when somebody falls,
life or death.
It's life or death, and I usually like to have a fun tone. It's informational, and we're joking around, and we're having fun. But at events like that, there's a certain line. Somebody eats it, they go down, and you just kind of have to wait. I think Cape Fear was a crazy example of every single wipeout, and you could hear it on the commentary. when somebody fell, they would go under, and you literally just have to stop talking because that dude could be dead.
Yeah.
And so I think we were, you get prepped before these things, and there's injuries in every sport that I do.
Yeah.
But something like that where it's, the guy goes down and you're just going, all right, let's just
Different tone, huh?
take a minute. Pops up and he's like, you go, yeah. Every wave becomes this victory.
Yeah.
Same with the eddy, same with when Pipeline is just crazy big. When Fiji was crazy big and all, the year that I was there, they called the contest off because it was too big. I'm sitting next to Wassel, Kelly Slater, and these guys are just, again, you see Wassel and he's talking, but his brain is out there in the water already.
Right.
And they bolt. And 1 minute I'm sitting next to this guy, and the next minute he's dropping in probably the biggest wave I've ever ridden, a cloud break. And then 20 minutes later he's sitting back next to me like, You see this whole arc. And it's moments like that where, as a broadcaster, you're just happy to be in the right place at the right time.
Okay.
Calling the Jaws event was similar to that because, I'd never even seen Jaws breaking like that. I've driven up there and checked it out, and I did my homework and watched every video. But until you're kind of sitting up there looking at it, they're like, oh yeah, that's a perfect wave. I think most people would be able to surf that. And then you see the guy paddle out, and it's like an ant.
Jeez.
And it's the same situation. Somebody drops in, and you're going, okay, I hope we just didn't see what I thought we saw.
Ooh, yeah.
And they pop up, and you're like, yes, so there's things like that. And then there's smaller scale things that happen that are just extraordinary with nearly every event, like the Vance Park Series events. There's always one or two tricks that happen that it's unbelievable. This should not happen.
Yeah.
And it happens. And you're right there.
And you're talking people through it.
Yeah.
When I'm already watching the skaters too, some of the slammers too, sometimes those are so bad that it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay.
The last event had some of those, and you're just kind of watching, and you just try to put it in context for the people that are watching from home.
Yeah.
You're on the deck, you hear, this young kid broke his arm right in front of us, and I'm kind of shocked because I'm used to when you're in the surf world or whatever, it's way out there.
Right.
But this was right there, Neil Hendricks next to me, Chris Pastor, like, I've seen this a million times, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that a million times too. But we have the best medical staff on hand for all the events that I do.
Of course. So how about this then? How about the balance between your personality and the public eye, maintaining your personal brand? So, do you get to be real? Are you always putting on a Chris Cote
This is the
persona?
show.
Or is this the show? Or is this really the real Chris Cote that are we getting who you are?
I think you're getting who I am.
Okay.
I know a lot of people out here very intimately for many, many years, and some for a few years, and I've worked with some people professionally and partied hard with some people, and I feel like I'm pretty much the same person. I've definitely gotten a lot less wild in the last 3 years or so, but I've also gotten a lot more focused.
Yeah.
I've really not tried, but I really feel like I haven't burned many bridges in my life. A couple, and I learned quickly from those. I really believe in positive thinking and just emitting positivity, because we all have negative people around us.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to fall into, if they're going, oh, the waves suck, it's flat, it's cold, it's really easy to go, yeah, you're right,
Yeah.
And I fall into that sometimes, but for most of my life, I've always been a fully positive-minded person, and I think that has been a reason why, it's like I don't get in fights, I don't get in trouble, I don't. There's a Steely Dan lyric I love, no static at all. And I kind of I feel like a certain amount of static if you're trying to get something. You trying to be the squeaky wheel, whether it's for an environmental pursuit or something that you really want. That's an acceptable level of static. But just causing drama for drama's sake, to me, is just a total waste of time.
Yeah, waste of energy.
Yeah, and I feel like being positive, it takes work. Of course, you have to kind of tell yourself a lot of times that, oh yeah, like, I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
I'm a good-looking guy. I'm losing weight. I'm doing good.
Well, and so you said last 3 years though, so you're sober for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
You had built a reputation out of sort of being the party guy,
I was
right?
super good at it.
Yeah.
I was a professional partier for many, many years.
But you told me you're proud of your last 3 years.
Yeah, it's funny because, I had the benders and I had the drugs and all that stuff, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a real part of my identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was going to lose a bunch of friends, and I think what a lot of people, when they stop drinking, it's like, oh, no, nobody's going to want to hang out with me anymore. Nobody's going to like me. But I've retained basically all my friends through that, and I've never been preachy about it. I've never been judgmental because I've done everything.
Yeah.
So I can't judge somebody if I've done that a million times. So I've kind of more just made myself available if anybody wants to talk about it. I'm by no means a drug and alcohol counselor. And I've just kind of done it. I don't know if it's been quietly, because I'm like that dude every once in a while that posts the thing like, dude, haven't drank in 2 years, and I get it. It's like it's kind of nice to be able to say that,
Yeah.
but it's been easier than I thought, because I was just done with it, because I had just more of that get super wild, get crazy, leads to just really bad decisions. It was affecting my work. I got a reputation that I didn't even know about. If I'm partying with the production people super hard, and then I'm going, oh, these are my bros. But then I hear oh yeah, I don't know if we're gonna hire him. He's kind of like a loose cannon. He's really good, but you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, is that me? I thought we were
doing this together.
Yeah. But so, it was one of those things where, I'm at a bachelor party and I'm on 8 different drugs, and I'm going, oh wait, I'm a parent. I probably shouldn't be on 8 drugs right now. And so, it was the kind of the peak of it was me realizing I had a mask up of maybe not super loaded all the time, but just the mask of constant perennial buzzness.
Yeah.
3 beers, lunch, wine at dinner, and it was just that cycle.
Yeah.
And so my dad had actually gotten sober 5 years ago, and I saw his mask, for lack of a better term, I guess, come down. And I'm like, whoa, we're having a real conversation for the first time in our lives. What if I could just do this with my kids now, not when my kid's 40? We can finally talk. So it was one of those, and I went to this bachelor party. I got super loaded. Next day, I was so hungover, and my kids going are you sick? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm sick. I'm not okay. Just the guilt, the shame, and all that. And then telling my wife, I'm like, I'm not drinking for a month. 3 days later, I'm at happy hour,
Yeah.
and I'm drinking beers, and I'm like, oh, I'm buzzed again.
Yeah.
Damn it. And then from that day, I'm like, okay, 2 weeks, not drinking. 2 weeks went by, I go, okay. And then I had a trip to Cabo, and I go, it was these kind of milestones.
Yeah.
If I can go to Cabo and not drink, I can do it.
Go anywhere.
Did it, And there was times I'm sitting there sweating oh. I'm at Flora Farms. There's this carrot margaritas. I'm like, well, this is health food, right?
Of course.
I can't do it. And then, weddings and all that stuff. I went to a couple meetings, but it was just more of, I knew what, a lot of people will say, well, I can't just go out and have a beer. And that's the dream for a lot of people. It's I'd love to just, and I said this a million times, I'd love to just go out and have a beer like a normal person. But 1 beer, 2 beers, 6, call the guys. That's my path. And so I was I can't, and it's like calling it sober. There's a lot of different kinds of sober.
Yeah.
It's like non-alcoholic beers save me every once in a while.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm at
Something.
the party. It's hard to be at a party with nothing in your hands. It's like,
That's what soda water's for, right?
right?
The bubble,
When you're really
lime.
partying, it's like, I got two things in my hand. I'm partying.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
congratulations.
LaCroix. Thank you, LaCroix.
Plug. It's
Yeah.
one of our sponsors.
Get that case to the house.
Well, congratulations on that. I think it's awesome. How about your most memorable moment? I mean, you sat alongside some of the biggest names in our industry, in our sports. Is there anybody that you still hope to interview or sit next to? And maybe what was your most memorable interview that you maybe had?
I think probably there was one that was super rad. It happened at the Volcom Pipe Pro, and Jerry Lopez was in the booth.
Yeah.
And I talked to my dad and my stepdad before. I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to be commentating with Jerry Lopez, and they're freaking out. And I'm obviously everybody's a Jerry Lopez fan, but I think older generation than me they really knew what he was about.
Yeah.
I just knew it from reading about it, and like he's super cool. He had this aura. He's sitting right next to me, and I'm like, wow. This wave came through, somebody got there. I'm like, wow, Jerry, you can fit a VW bus through that. And he just looks over and he's like, no, you couldn't. And then he looks back out, and I was like, oh, idiot. And then he's like, but you could fit a VW bug. And he's like, gives me a shock. I was like, oh.
Saved by Jerry.
Yeah, that was an insane moment.
Close
And then,
call.
and then I freak out all the time of people that call me or email me like, I have Jerry Lopez's number in my phone.
Yeah.
This is super weird.
Amazing.
It's like, I know Christian Hosoi. This is all things that to me, and I still totally get starstruck, and I have to, so that's where the act goes on, like the cool guy act. When I see Grant Taylor at events, Park Series thing, I'm like, what's up, Grant? Oh my God, that's Grant Taylor. And it still happens every time.
Yeah.
I think it's more for this, I've known Kelly Slater now for so long, and he still trips me out because it's like, you see him and it's like, hey, what's up? And it's like, and then he walks off, I'm like, dude, Kelly's weird. Like, wow, what was that thing you just did,
Does he like me? Does he remember me?
Does he like me? Or no, I really want to be liked. Maybe that's a problem. I want to be liked too much. But, trust me, I all the time pinch myself, like, I can't believe this is happening.
Does anybody intimidate you?
Yeah, lots of people intimidate me. I mean, I'm not scared to engage with them, talk to people, but, I'm fully aware that there are many people who are very much smarter than me. That's always intimidating. Younger people who are smarter, maybe better looking. I don't know. Maybe. Just, you're intimidated by different people.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like going above that intimidation to kind of try to get on the same level is where you can really start to engage.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of getting past a lot of the first barriers. Whether it's just introducing yourself and trying to act normal, just trying to be yourself and not put on a totally outrageous front to try to get there. It's sometimes like I've met rappers and I've put on some weird like street voice. Oh yeah, what's up?
What's up?
Yeah,
Your weird handshake. You're like,
really?
That handshake.
Yeah, stuff like that. Where I guess that's a form of intimidation where you change this, tweak it a little bit to meet what you think they want you to say.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
How about so you've been so entrenched in the action sports, if you will, quote unquote. What do you think the health of action sports is today?
The current state of action sports?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us are still making our living off of it. I think it's crazy because I think it's a matter of creativity, and for me, I've been fortunate enough to be able to work with and for, the right companies. not saying like hitch your wagon to them, but just, I guess, being able to navigate through the sketch factor, because I've been approached by a million companies to work for them or to be a representative of them, you know, and I have a really hard time saying no to people. So for me, I think I've gotten very lucky to have embedded myself in companies that are really like doing things the right way. I did it for a long time with Volcom, you know, I'm doing it with Vans, and I look at these companies going like, these are companies that are doing things right, and it feels good to be with them because you know that, you know, they take into consideration more than just, you know, the selling of the shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and I take pride and pleasure in working with companies that are like that care.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to be able to kind of navigate in and out of these situations. You know, and as far as how's it doing, it's like it's more crowded than ever. Surfing, the skate parks are popping.
Yeah.
Wave pools are popping up. I mean, are people buying the marquee brand shorts? Like, it's kind of embarrassing because I've been getting free stuff for a long time, so I don't know like how much.
On the down low.
Yeah, I mean, it's like going into a surf shop and buying $100 trunks is just not something that I would necessarily do. But it's like I go and buy, like, I'll go and buy a pair of trucks and wheels or deck, or, you know, I have bought shoes. You know, I always buy Vans. Maybe I haven't bought Vans shoes in a while. But I want to try to sell the lifestyle, because if we're selling the lifestyle, you know, I try to push surfboards, to try to get people to buy surfboards. You know, just to get people excited about action sports in general. You know, that's, I guess, not my give back, because it sounds ridiculous, but I'm trying to just keep it exciting and fun, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in a weird place of being super in the business and then a super fan of all of the stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like I'm on every website every morning. I go down the list, like a lot of people here, I'm sure do. You have your rotation that you go through. You know, you get there at 8, and you're like, from 8 to 9, you're on all the websites, and then you go to your emails, and you go back. Is anything new? Like, who won the Battle of the Barracks? You know, I'm a super fan of all this stuff, you know, so, you know, for me, it's really fun to kind of, you know, and then I go to, like, all the business websites, and I try not to get too involved in, like, the numbers and all that, because, you know, that, I don't know. It's depressing sometimes.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. Is the surf industry doing great? You tell me. I keep getting hired to do these contests, so.
And you can, you know,
Seems
events like this, the Volcom talk show.
Right?
Things are
There's
good.
talk shows about it.
Yeah. Hey, so what? Tell me, give some advice to any young professional students that are coming up that think, hey, you know what? Someday I want to be a personality, if you will. I want to be commentating and producing things. What's your career advice for young people or people turning their paths this way?
I've gotten better at this, because for the longest time I was like, I don't know, dude, you just gotta do it, you know. But now it's like I realize, in looking back at all the things that kind of get you from very beginnings to higher steps, is volunteering. And there's a fine line, you know. I feel like volunteering to commentate the amateur events, to distribute the magazines, you know, get the stack of What Youth magazines and take them to the shops, stuff like that, volunteering, interning, things like that. But then figuring out when it's time to draw the line of, I'm worth something here.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like, as far, let's say commentating, for example, you know, I have a kid, Fisher DeVoe, who's a dear, you know, one of my best friend's sons, right? And he's a rad kid, and I want to help him in the commentary game.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I told him was like, Joe Turpel told me this. He went to the NSSAs and said, I'll do it. I'll talk on the beach all day. You don't have to pay me. Just give me bananas and water.
Yeah.
You know?
And look what I got.
You know, and that just kind of gets you going. And it's the same thing that I did. It's so many companies and so many brands. Like, dude, I'll pass out the stickers, you know? It's like volunteering to a certain point, and then when you get to that point, being brave enough to say, all right, now you need me.
Sure. But get out there, be in the mix, let people know who you are. And
Yeah, exactly.
Get for yourself, right? Speaking of Joe Turpel, where the heck is Joe Turpel?
Joe's in Hawaii. He's having a baby.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That just was announced today, too.
Yay.
It's a big day for baby news.
So I'm going to do a quick round of a couple of fun facts. I don't know, maybe see if there's any questions out in the audience. But what do you think? Answer these questions.
Okay.
Some quick answers. Ready?
Yeah.
Kids these days.
Kids these days are very inspiring. You know, I go to these skate events and I'm trying to dress like CJ Collins. He's 13 years old, and it's not working.
It's working.
I'm like, my wife goes, "Why are you dressing like a vato?" And I'm like, I don't know. I look, this kid was really cool, you know. And
do you ride these trucks as loose as CJ?
no.
Have you ever seen his board?
Yes, I've tried to ride his board.
Crazy.
You know, and it's. I would say kids these days are inspiring because they're way smarter than any of us give them credit for, and they're shooting fireworks in the backyard.
Right on cue.
You know, and they're. You know, I feel like they don't anymore. You know, it used to be like, what do the kids want? You know, but there's no way to really quite. You can't get that information from them. It's just more of like observation.
Yeah.
You know, you can't like go undercover 21 Jump Street style and figure out what the kids are doing. Like, if you could, we'd all be rich fidget spinner millionaires if we could have figured that out. Because someone's out there did it.
Yeah, no kidding. What do you mean? How about this? How about something most people wouldn't know about you?
Oh, I was thinking about that on the way. Like a thing that I've done in the past, because there's so. Is this all ages webcast?
Yeah.
Something most people don't know about me. Oh, I've said this before. Like I'm super emotional, and I cry a lot for joyful things.
Yeah.
Rom-coms, CBS Sunday Morning. I mean,
Best show ever.
Crier. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
It's a CBS Sunday thing. Yeah, I'm a huge joyful crier.
Okay. But you know what? I could see that.
I'm an emotional fella.
Your first concert.
Kiss.
Your thoughts
I had
on
nightmares for like 4
how about
years.
media in 2020? Are we watching more or are we listening more?
Listening.
Listening more. Surfing or skating?
Both.
Okay.
I did both today.
And then how about this one? Did you really?
Yeah.
I believe you. Paint the picture. You're having dinner with any band, past or present, any place. They're bringing the whole band and their other halves. Who's with you? What are you eating?
Ooh, it's me and David Bowie. David Bowie and I should say. Just us. CDG, back corner.
You're crying.
I'm definitely crying. You know, and that would probably be an instance that you would definitely not want to be sober. But maybe you would. I don't know, maybe you could remember it. But yeah, Bowie and I cruising in the corner.
That's a good
CDG, Talking Heads are about to play their second show ever.
What are you eating? What's for dinner?
Well, it depends on what we're doing. Well, I'm having a steak. Let's say.
Okay.
I'm having a poke bowl.
Hey,
from the
Boathouse
Boathouse.
Poke Bowl.
Yeah, that was good.
Yoga, yes? Yoga?
Sure.
No, yes, you would.
Yes, I wish I did it more because everyone that I know who does it just is Chris Miller. I mean, look at Chris Miller.
Troy Eckers. I mean,
Look at this
brand that we've got.
specimen.
I didn't. That wasn't a plug for our own brand. I was
The
like,
Cosm,
for your own
folks,
health.
Cosm.
Yeah, I just wondering
K-O-Z-M.
for your own health if you are.
Yes, I'd like to do more yoga. I'd like to work out more.
Okay.
I would. I wish. It's like running. You know, I see people running and they're smiling, like, yeah, you know. I'm like, oh, I hate running. You know, and I see people coming out of yoga and they got their mats and they're sweating, like, oh, feels so good. I'm like, oh man, I just had a donut. You know.
Well,
I wish I liked those things.
Give us a call. Come hang out with us.
I know.
I surf. We'll go do some yoga.
I do yoga sometimes.
Okay.
Once every 4 months, let's say.
And then the last one I have for you: time travel is okay. I know you're a big surfer, but you're getting time travel. You're surfing with anybody. You're surfing any location. You're surfing anything. What's that look like?
Wow. I mean, I was gonna say restaurants on a perfect day. You know, maybe like right before the filming of Black and White. or maybe during, and then I could surf with like 3 or 4 bros. But then I thought about it because you can get hurt so easily there. So then I was thinking, I'd like to go and serve macaronis on my current surfboard with, like a hut on the beach, but no one out. But then I was like, I kind of did that once, sort of.
Yeah.
So then I kind of thought about it, like.
So you thought about this a while. Like,
I did. I was driving out thinking about this. I think surfing somewhere like Rincon or Lowers, just at its very best day ever, with like Native Americans on the beach fishing.
So nobody else is surfing at that time.
Nobody's surfing. And there was no sharks back then.
Right. That's what was good about those days.
Yeah.
About sharks.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe like, and it's weird to say Rincon because I'm a Goofy, but you just imagine surfing like perfect Rincon with no one out. And that gets your surf turkey stoke bone just flaring.
Wow. So those were surf turkey stoke bones flaring.
Yeah.
That's what makes Chris Cote the amazing commentator and personality is. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story. We're going to go to some questions, but round of applause for Chris Cote.
I don't even know what I talked about. That was good. I was like, other out-of-body experience. Talking about myself.
That's what we aim for.
Okay. I didn't cry.
Is any? Well, we're not done yet.
Okay.
Any questions out in the audience that we want to hit up Chris Cote with as a personality? Yes.
With your years of traveling and going to these remote locations, what's like your favorite place in the world, and where do you wish to go?
Favorite place in the world and where do I wish to go? My favorite place in the world, I would say, is probably the northern part of Italy, where you can go in the ocean and eat all the food and just explore and drive around. Probably Italy, favorite place in the world. I guess that's for kind of anything, food and everything.
Yeah.
Probably, I guess, favorite place in the world to surf has to be Indonesia or Lucadia, in that order.
One or the other.
Probably the latest, greatest places I've been, Malmo, Sweden, and Copenhagen, as you know, are they're right next to each other. It's like Newport and Costa Mesa. If Newport and Costa Mesa were 2 of the coolest places ever, which they are, but these 2 places are super cool. Where do I want to go? I've always wanted to go to China, and I'm going to China for the World Championships of the Venice Park Series.
Oh, nice.
So again, that's one of those like pinch yourself things. Really, I get to go to China.
Yeah.
I get paid to go to China.
And how important is travel and
Yeah.
see new cultures, meet
And New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
North Island, New Zealand. That is like, I could go live there.
I would love that. Anybody else? Yeah. No.
I'm out.
How's it going? I just want to say I grew up, in Cincinnati with this guy and actually asked questions about his true self. And I probably had like a weird, unique personality. And like I said, he said he was nice to everyone. And I was goofy looking kid with a mullet. And he was really nice to me, but he literally, his jokes and the humor and that Lucadia house and just like the memories, it literally is cool to hear this. And I got, I'm a 1-year-old, so to come here was like cool to hear the stories. It was very inspiring because a lot of stuff's real truth. And I think the trials and tribulations that you speak are really cool.
Thank you. This is Malcolm McCassie right here. You can't see him. This guy he's an inspiration to me. He started Ethica Underwear. He's done commentary, video hosting, the moto world. This dude, he got chunked out by Hulk Hogan. Yeah, you gotta get Malcolm on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, and again, this is an example. Like just looking into the crowd, there's people out here that I literally, it's like I'm like a remora, I'm with you, but I'm also like, you don't know, but I'm soaking off you right now. I'm like,
don't worry, I'm taking
sponging info, like Troy, Paul Schmidt, like these are all people out here. I'm like, ooh, I'm soaking in shit. Amber Chin, his ads in Bliss Magazine, I look at those, I'm like, that's inspiring to me. Things like that, where I'm just like soaking off these people.
Yeah.
And that's, I'll always, I'm like a sponge, and I look at my kids and how fast they're learning, and I'm envious of that. So I want to try to keep up with them, and it's like, I learned a new skateboard trick the other day, and that surprised me. And I'm going, oh, well, if I could learn that, then I could learn this other, you know? So it's almost like, and I'll never say, that, you know, like, I'm too old, or I'm getting old. And it really bothers me when people say that.
Yeah, me
Because,
too.
I mean, we're young men.
Of course.
And people say it a lot, right? Like, oh, dude, I can't skate anymore. I'm too old. You know, what?
Yeah.
You know? You seen Paul Schmidt? I mean, this guy's like dropping into 8-foot bowls on a freaking 1950s board. I just saw him do it like 3 days ago. He's 37 years old. He's still skating.
Yeah. Right? Is that true? Age-wise?
But you know what I'm saying? It's like you soak that in, and
Well, we all feed off of each other, right?
Yeah.
It's important.
and this is a good room. I mean, this camera, if you could do a pan out, there's some smart people in here.
Anything else you want to pull in here? Troy Eckert.
The Cali Rally. Didn't really talk about that. Was that your idea? And if it was, it doesn't really matter because my question is, what was the craziest thing that went down during the Cali Rally?
So the Cali Rally was a brainstorm with Punker Pat and I. Came into TransWorld, like, I got this idea. And we kind of molded it into, you know, it was like part King of the Road, part Cannonball Run. And it went on for 3 years. It was the most controversial, most brain smashing, liver crushing event that TransWorld ever did, and people almost died every single time. And I think it was one of those things where it just got, like, the first year it wasn't fun, and I can tell, like, you know, Mike Burnett, who does King of the Road, it's like, inherently, he is a super nice guy, but some of the stuff he writes down it takes it to a sadistic level of these challenges, and in writing the Cali Rally challenges leading, you know, the first year it's like, oh, you know, throw a watermelon off Oceanside Pier or something, and then it's like, jump off Oceanside Pier and smash somebody's board, and then it's like, it's so hard not to just ramp things up. And I guess to address the questions, some of the gnarliest things, one of them we tied these surfers up with shoelaces.
What was the premise of
The premise was it was a trip from San Diego to Santa Cruz,
Okay.
and the surfers were collecting points for scavenger hunt style challenges.
Okay.
You know, and then we'd stop and do challenges, like we had Hooters as a sponsor, so we went up the coast going to every Hooters and eating like wings and having wing eating contests. It's ridiculous. They paid us to do that.
Wow.
We did a skate race down Hollywood Boulevard. But we tied the surfers up with strings to their arms, and I invited the Santa Cruz. I thought they were kids. I thought they were junior lifeguards, but they like brought out this water polo team. And it was Matt Myers from Rip Curl. He was talking to me about this the other day. These are like avatar men, 7 feet tall water polo players, and we had these buckets of tennis balls. And so we made the surfers paddle around the Capitola Pier as the junior lifeguards were pelting them with tennis balls.
What was the ties though?
The ties were like cutting people's hands with it was shoelaces. And it was all happening, and I was feeling so bad because these dudes were getting destroyed. Like, super bad. People were crying for pain, not for joy. That was probably the earliest thing I saw at Cali Rally. I was thinking about that coming up here, but yeah.
We were going to try to leave
My
off
liver, like, I left a part of that in that time frame. Saw a lot of really things that just are unmentionable, but really fun times.
Cali Rally.
He's smiling with that grin. He knows he saw a lot of it himself.
Anything else? Any other questions? Yeah, Paul.
What trick did you learn?
Oh, good question.
Oh, it's just so dumb.
If you be basic, it's okay.
50-50, body burial, 180 off the ledge.
Hey, that sounds...
That's like a cool Instagram trick. You know, I'm trying to learn what the kids are doing. I saw that on a kid, like a 9-year-old's Instagram. I'm like, I could do that.
I got
It felt good though, right? New trick. I was like, wow, that's a new trick. And I skateboard now at like 7:30 in the morning, which I never thought I'd do.
Beat the heat, beat the crowd.
Yeah.
You and the dads.
Dawn Patrol, full Adult Swim dad sessions.
Yeah.
7 to 8.
Well, all your social media posts are really inspiring because it is that, right? We have that in common. A lot of us do, right? We've got kids. We're trying to stay active and stay in the sports that we love.
That's the thing.
It's inspiring. Like, man,
Posting, yeah, it's like posting a skate video of myself. Obviously, I'm not a pro skater,
but it's awesome.
But you know, I'm an adult and I'm just still out there trying to skate.
Yeah.
And when people ask me like, "Why do you post that?" and I go, "Well, because I want you to go skate."
Somebody saw it and was like,
Yeah.
you know what?
And Instagram is kind of like everybody gets a trophy, you know? So you can post something and people go, "Good job, bud. That was great.
You're shredding."
You know they're patronizing you a little bit, but hey, they gave you a life and you achieve something. I feel like sometimes you have to just go, "Oh, I'm gonna film myself doing this stupid trick so I can just prove that I went and did something that day."
Do you feel like you have to post every day? Do you post every day? Something?
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
Part of the job.
Yeah, that hinders the work-life balance when I'm like on my phone and my wife comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I'm reading a book. One more place.
Well, Chris, it's been awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I want to thank the crowd. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us at the Boat Coach Talk Show.
Thank you.
Thank you to the staff here. And we'll see you next time. You guys, thank you. Yeah, cue the music.
I work with Ashton.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rachel.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, sure. How you told it. Great.
That was crazy. I felt like that was like 2 minutes.
Were your palms sweating?
I was starting to sweat.
Rachel.
Hi, Rachel. Oh, right on.
I just want to say thank you again for putting this on.
Oh, thanks for reaching out.
Yeah.
For making it happen.
Of course, it was awesome. It was great.
So stoked. That was a really fun one. Thank you.